Welcome back guys to the first video of a multiple part build for the Remington 7615. The first product we'll be doing a review and installing is the weapons mounting system or the railing system. This product here is brought out by Aimtech, which is an American company, and the style or design is called the Warhammer, which has also inspired the build name of Mjölnir. Now the meaning of Mjölnir I'll put in the description below, but basically Mjölnir was the hammer that Thor carried with him, and every time Thor threw this hammer it would hit his intended target every single time. So we're hoping for the same sort of effect and outcome with our Remington build. Basically I'll go talking about the specifications and unboxing of it, and at the end I'll do an installation video showing you how easy it is to install this. It should really only take more than 2 minutes, but we might extend it a little bit more so I can go into detail of what we're doing. So if you guys do decide to go down this track with this weapon mounting system, you'll have an instructional video that can be referred to. So as we unbox, Warhammer comes with instructions on how to install, which are for the 870. All the screws and Allen keys needed, a barrel clamp, and obviously the rail itself. So what we're looking at here is a 20-inch top Picatinny rail. These two on the side are a 5-inch rail which can be moved back about a centimetre or so it's not flush to the barrel. It weighs in at around 650 grams, which is extremely light. The metal is a CNC machined aluminium alloy, powder coated in a what seems to be slightly hammered or a rippled finish. The metal itself is extremely strong. I've done a modification to mine where I've cut this piece out at the bottom, like on this side. It was flush, but when you attach this to your Remington, the serial number is blocked. For some people that's not a problem. If I have police come around and check my firearms, you'll have to then take this off to show them a serial number. So I figured I'd just cut this out with a Dremel tool, sprayed it with a satin black paint out of the aerosol. You can get it powder coated if you wanted, but yeah, so now I don't really need to remove this rail if it needs to be inspected. And you can see the design name Warhammer, where it comes from. They say that this sort of looks like a Warhammer from the old days, which is why they call it the Warhammer. Okay, so for the installation of the Warhammer we're going to need a few things: a rubberized mallet, set of punches, in particular a 4mm and a 4.8mm, which are these two here. We're going to need a cork block or a rubberized block, a brass rod for drifting out the dovetailed sights, obviously the Warhammer and the accessories that go with it, and the rifle. The first thing we're going to need to do is take the factory sights off the rifle. Now the front sight has two flathead screws, one visible and one underneath this sight. And what we're going to do is get the brass rod and we're going to drift that dovetail designed front sight out so we can get access to that second screw. So we use our brass rod. Now we've got access to both of those screws, and we'll unscrew them now. Now the rear are held into place with Allen screws. The Allen key provided with the Warhammer, the small one, actually is the same size as these two here, which are the ones we're taking off. So we'll take these off now. and that's the sights taken off. And what you want to do is just bag these, because if we decide to take the Warhammer off, or even for resale value, it's good to have all this factory gear put aside. So now we'll start installing the Warhammer. To mount the Warhammer to the receiver, we have to punch these two receiver pins out, which hold the trigger assembly in. So we'll punch those out. This one is the larger 4.8, and that's the 4mm. I'll punch them out and then we'll go from there. Bring in the cork for some elevation. Okay, so those pins are now out, which hold the trigger assembly in. You can see the trigger assembly will wiggle around. We'll need to sort of play around with that when we put the pins provided, or the screws provided. The larger screw that's in the pack will go the rear, and then we've got the smaller one, and the Allen key, the larger one is the larger one, and the medium Allen key provided is for the smaller pins. So let's put those in. These ones aside. As I said, when you start putting your Warhammer on just like this, line the holes up. You may need to play around with the trigger assembly just to get the holes into place, but we'll screw on the rear one first, and then we'll do the one in front of that. Now we've got it pivoted now. We haven't done them too tight, we're just putting them in so they're nice and secure. We'll do the front one now. This one will be a little bit more tricky than the rear, so you may have to play around with that trigger assembly, just pulling it up and down like that until you find the spot. And if you have it at a point, you can just screw it in with the Allen key. So we'll just put that one in. We're not going to do these too tight at the moment, but now they're secure. Again, throw your receiver pins in with your sights, your factory sights, because again, if we decide to take this off, all our gear to make it factory standard is in that bag. So now what we're going to do is put in the clamp at the front, which just slides onto the barrel. Now the barrel obviously is smaller than the 870s, so you've got a fair bit of gap between the barrel and the clamp. I'll show you what we're going to do with that in a second. But what we're going to do is line the two screws at the top of the rail, the 5-inch rail, tri-rail, in with these screw holes here, and we'll do that now. And they take the Allen key, the smaller Allen key, out of the three. So effectively, we've now mounted the Warhammer onto the Remington. But as I said, we've got all this play here because the barrel is not the same size as the shotgun barrel, which this rail is for. I've heard of guys getting this clamp machined to the exact specifications for this rifle. That may be an expensive process. I actually wouldn't mind doing something like that, but for the meantime, what I went and did was at Clark Rubber, got a strip of neoprene. Now this here is a rubber that can withstand high temperature. The distance between the barrel and the clamp, I measured it around about 4mm, so I got a 4mm strip. This comes in obviously a metre, but you really only need literally that much, if that. Either way, 4mm I got. I had issues with wrapping it around the barrel, so instead of that I went and got the 2mm, cut them, and that works perfectly because when we wrap it around, has no issues. Now this is probably the hardest part of the installation, and I've got to slip these two pieces under in between the barrel and the clamp. So let's see how we go with that. Okay, so that's on. If anyone's going to do this method and they want measurements of what I cut these at, by all means put a message, send me a message or PM me, and I'll give you the rough measurements if you want to cut it, or you can just figure it out yourself. But either way, now that has no play, that should now be dead center to the barrel and the rail. In regards to value for money, I picked this up here in Australia off eBay from an Australian eBay seller, Midway, Australia, for $150. You can pick them up in America for $100 US plus your postage. Now, as a comparison, you can get a similar mount from other companies that make them, and they bolt into the receiver up the top here and are free floating. However, the railing system only goes to about here. And the price they're sold at in America range from about $235 to $300 US. Here in Australia there is a seller that sells that same rail. I won't mention their name, but I can't see how they're managing to survive. But they're selling that rail here for 500 Australian dollars. So for my $150, I get a 20-inch Picatinny railing at the top, perfect for my flip-up sights or back-up sights with a really long sight radius. I get the two side rails, which are perfect for my laser or a flashlight, which also means I don't necessarily need to buy a tri-rail forend because all those will be up here. Inbuilt to the rail is also a heat shield, which is a very, very important thing on this gun because this barrel heats up really quickly. It also has nice large holes for the heat dispensation for cooling of the barrel. But apart from the fact that it has amazing functionality, it looks kick-ass as well. I mean, I love the look of this accessory. And there's nothing wrong with buying something because it looks good. But this not only looks good, but enhances the gun and only adds to its appeal, I say. Value for money, I 100% agree and recommend this.